Imagine standing in the heart of the Garhwal Himalayas. The sun is slowly disappearing behind the snow-covered ridges. A cool mountain breeze moves through ancient forests. The sounds of modern life fades away, replaced by the whisper of pine trees and distant streams. As darkness approaches, local villagers begin sharing the stories. Stories passed from grandparents to the grandchildren, stories older than living memory, stories about a mountain where celestial beings are said to reside. A mountain known as Khait Parvat. To outsiders, the Khait Parvat may appear to be just another Himalayan peak, yet for generations of people living in Uttarakhand, India, it has been something far more extraordinary. It is known as Pariyon Ka Desh, the land of fairies. It is known as the mountain of angels. It is a place where many believe divine beings called Aacharis continue to watch over the land, a place where the legendary nine divine sisters are said to reside, a place where mystery, faith, folklore, and nature merges into one extraordinary cultural landscape. Throughout human history, mountains have occupied a unique place in our imagination. Ancient civilizations viewed mountains as bridges between earth and the heaven. The Greeks had Mount Olympus, the Japanese have Mount Fuji, the Tibet has Mount Kailash, and the deep within the Garhwal Himalayas, the local communities river Khait Parvat. Why do mountains inspire such reverence? Perhaps because they make us feel small, perhaps because they remind us of forces larger than ourselves, or perhaps because their beauty awakens something ancient within the human spirit. For centuries, the travelers have reported unusual experiences in these mountains. Some speak of mysterious sounds, others describe unexplained lights, some tell stories of divine dreams and blessings. Whether one believes these accounts literally or symbolically, they reveal something important about human nature. Human beings are naturally drawn towards the mystery. We seek meaning beyond the invisible world. We ask questions that science alone cannot always answer. Why do certain places feel sacred? Why do some landscapes inspire profound emotion? Why do legends survive for hundreds or even thousands of years? Kate Parvat invites us to explore these questions. This video is not about convincing anyone to believe or disbelieve the legends. Instead, it is about understanding why these stories matter, why generations have preserved them, why local communities continue to respect the mountain, why cultural traditions remain valuable even in the age of technology and scientific advancement. As we journey through this video, we will explore the geography of Khait Parvat, the origin of the land of fairies legend, the mysterious Aacharis, the story of the nine divine sisters, ancient Garhwali traditions, scientific explanation, modern controversies, and perhaps most importantly, the lessons these stories can teach us about the respect, humility, community, and gratitude. Because sometimes the greatest value of a legend is not whether it is factually true, its value lies in the wisdom it carries, the value it preserves, the questions it inspires, and the connections it creates between generations. Today, Kate Parvat stands as more than a mountain. It stands as a symbol of mystery, a symbol of faith, a symbol of cultural identity, a symbol of humanity's timeless fascination with the unknown. So join us as we begin an extraordinary journey into one of Uttarakhand's most captivating legends. Welcome to Khait Parvat, the mountain of angels. Before we explore the legends, we must first understand the landscape that gave birth to them. Khait Parvat is located in the Uttarkasi region of Uttarakhand, one of India's most spiritually significant Himalayan states. Uttarakhand is often called Devbhumi, the land of the gods. This title reflects the region's deep spiritual heritage. The state is home to the sacred rivers, ancient temples, pilgrimage routes, and countless stories connecting people to the natural world. Khait Parvat rises within this extraordinary setting. The journey towards the mountain takes visitors through traditional Garhwali villages, dense forests, mountain trails, and spectacular Himalayan scenery. Even today, many of these communities maintain strong connections to the traditional customs and beliefs. Unlike heavily commercialized tourist destinations, Khait Parvat retains a sense of authenticity. Visitors often describe a feeling of peace and remoteness. The surrounding environment contributes greatly to the mountain's reputation. Towering peaks create dramatic landscapes, dense forests generate an atmosphere of mystery. Changing weather conditions can transform familiar scenes into something almost magical. Morning mist drifts through valleys. Clouds roll across the mountain slopes. Sunlight creates constantly changing patterns across the terrain. These natural phenomena often inspire wonder and imagination. It is not difficult to understand why generations of people associated such landscapes with divine beings. Throughout history, remote mountains have often been viewed as sacred places. Their isolation creates a sense of separation from the ordinary life. Their beauty evokes awe. Their power commands respect. Khait Parvat embodies all of these qualities. For local communities, the mountain is not merely a destination, it is part of their identity. Stories about the mountain are woven into the daily life. Children grew up hearing its legends. Families pass down traditions connected to its spiritual significance. Seasonal rituals reinforce the connection between people and the place. This relationship highlights an important truth. Landscapes are not only physical environments, they are cultural environments as well. They shape memories, they influence beliefs, they become part of collective identity. In many ways, Khait Parvat serves as a living archive of Garhwali culture. Its stories preserve knowledge about history, values, and relationships with the nature. Its sacred status encourages environmental respect. Its legends strengthen the community thoughts. Modern visitors often arrive seeking mystery, yet many leave with something more meaningful, a deeper appreciation for the connection between people and the place, a greater understanding of cultural heritage, and a renewed respect for the wisdom preserved within traditional communities. As we continue our journey, remember that the mountain itself is not merely a backdrop for the legends, it is an active participant. Its forests, valleys, and peaks help shape every story associated with the Khait Parvat. The phrase "Land of Fairies" immediately captures attention. It evokes images of magical realism, mysterious beings, and the hidden worlds. Yet the meaning of Pariyon Ka Desh within Garhwali culture is much deeper than popular fantasy stories. To understand Khait Parvat, we must understand what these fairies represent. In many traditional cultures, stories about supernatural beings are not merely entertainment. They are symbolic expressions of values, beliefs, and experiences. The Aacharis associated with Khait Parvat are often described as celestial female beings connected to purity, beauty, harmony, and protection. They are not viewed as mischievous fantasy characters. Rather, they occupy a sacred place within local spiritual traditions. For centuries, villagers have shared stories about encounters with these beings. Some describe hearing distant songs, others speak of unexplained lights, some recount dreams and visions connected to the mountain. These stories vary from village to village, yet common themes appear repeatedly: respect, humility, purity, protection, harmony with nature. Notice how these themes align with values essential for the community survival in challenging mountain environments. Legends often serve practical purposes. They encourage ethical behavior, they strengthen social cohesion, they reinforce respect for the nature. By associating certain places with sacred beings, communities create powerful incentives to protect those environments. In this sense, the Land of Fairies legend may be viewed as both spiritual tradition and cultural conservation strategy. The concept also reflects humanity's universal tendency to personify the nature. Across the world, mountains, rivers, forests, and oceans have been associated with spirits and the guardians. Such beliefs express an important idea. Nature is not merely a resource to be exploited, it is something deserving the respect. The land of fairies reminds us of this perspective, whether one interprets the Acharis literally or symbolically, their stories encourage mindfulness and gratitude. They invite people to approach nature with humility rather than arrogance. In today's fast paced world, these lessons remain surprisingly relevant. Modern societies often focus on the control, efficiency, and consumption. Traditional legends encourages the balance. They remind us that mystery still exists, that not everything must be measured to be meaningful, that beauty and wonder are valuable in themselves. Perhaps this explains why the land of fairies continue to capture imagination. It speaks to a universal human longing, a longing for connection, a longing for mystery, a longing to believe that the world is richer and more meaningful than it sometimes appears. Among all the legends associated with the Khait Parvat, none are more fascinating than the stories of Aacharis. Aacharis are believed to be celestial beings who inhabit the slopes and forests of the mountain. According to the local tradition, they are the guardians, protectors, watchful presence that maintain harmony between human beings and the natural world. Descriptions vary across communities. Some portray them as radiant female figures. Some portray them as radiant female figures. Others describe them as unseen forces whose presence is sensed rather than observed. In many stories, they are associated with the music. Villagers sometimes speak of hearing beautiful melodies drifting through the mountains. The source remains unseen. The experience leaves a lasting impression. Such stories have persisted for the generations. Why? One possibility is that the Acharis represent humanity's desire to see the goodness in the world. Many cultures create stories about the guardians and protectors. These figures embody hope. They reassure people during uncertainty. They provide a sense of comfort in environments that can sometimes feel overwhelming. Mountain life has never been easy. Communities faces harsh weather, isolation, and challenging terrain. Belief in protecting beings may have helped strengthen resilience and optimism. The legends also communicate important ethical messages. According to many stories, the Acharis reward respect and humility. Those who approach the mountain with sincerity receive blessings. Those who behave carelessly may encounter difficulties. Whether interpreted literally or symbolically, the lesson is very clear. Actions have consequences. Respect matters, character matters. This moral dimension explains why the stories remain influential. They are not merely tales about supernatural beings, they are the lessons about how people should interact with one another and with the nature. Modern readers sometimes ask whether the Acharis are real. The answer depends on the perspective. From a scientific standpoint, no empirical evidence confirms the existence of celestial guardians. From a cultural standpoint, however, the Acharis are undeniably real. Their stories influences the behavior, shape traditions, preserve values, and strengthen community identity. In this sense, they possess a form of reality that transcends physical evidences. Perhaps the most important aspect of the Chari legends is their emphasis on the harmony. The guardians do not represent domination or the fear, they represent balance, balance between humanity and the nature, balance between tradition and the change, balance between mystery and the knowledge. In an age characterized by the rapid technological advancement, this message remains deeply relevant. It possesses extraordinary power to transform the world, yet power without respect can become destructive. The Acharyas remind us that the wisdom requires humility, that progress should not come at the expense of nature, that cultural heritage deserves preservation, and that some mysteries enrich life precisely because they remain mysteries. As we continue our exploration of Khait Parvat, we will encounter even more remarkable stories. Among them is perhaps the most famous legend of all, the story of the nine divine sisters, a tale that lies at the very heart of the mountain of Angels. At the heart of Kate Parvat's spiritual identity lies one of the most captivating legends in the Garhwal Himalayas, the story of the nine divine sisters. For generations, villagers have spoken about the nine celestial sisters who descended from the heavenly realms and choose Kate Parvat as their sacred abode. According to the local tradition, these sisters are not ordinary beings, they are embodiments of divine feminine energy, protectors of the region, and guardians of spiritual harmony. The story varies slightly from the village to the village, as oral traditions often do, yet the central theme remains remarkably consistent. Long ago, when the mountains were considered closer to the divine world than they are today, nine celestial sisters arrived in the Himalayas. Drawn by the purity of the landscape and the spiritual energy of the region, they settled upon the Khait Parvat. From that moment onwards, the mountain became sacred. The sisters were believed to watch over the forests, rivers, animals, and people living nearby. Their presence brought blessings, prosperity, and the protection. Villagers would seek their guidance during times of difficulty and offer prayers during times of gratitude. The symbolism of the nine sisters are particularly fascinating. Across many cultures, The number nine is associated with completeness, spiritual fulfillment, and the divine wisdom. In Hindu traditions, nine often represents sacred feminine power. The Navdurga, the nine forms of goddess Durga, provides one examples. Whether intentionally connected or not, the nine divine sisters of Khait Parvat reflects this broader cultural reverence for feminine spiritual energy. Why is this important? Because the legend emphasizes qualities often associated with the nurturing leadership, compassion, protection, wisdom, patience, harmony. These are not the qualities of domination or control. They are qualities of stewardship and care. Many local women view the sisters as symbols of strength and resilience. Many families see them as protectors of future generations. The legend also reveals an important cultural truth. Ancient communities often viewed nature itself as feminine. The earth nourishes the life, rivers sustain civilizations, forests provide shelter, mountains protect communities. The nine divine sisters may therefore symbolize humanity's relationship with the natural world itself. In the modern times, the story continues to inspire devotion. Pilgrims climb towards sacred locations associated with the sisters. Prayers are offered, songs are being sung, stories are shared. Through these practices, the legend remains alive. Some people ask whether the sisters truly exist. Others ask whether the story is merely folklore. Perhaps a more meaningful question is, why has the story survived for centuries? Legends that endure often carry deeper truths, not necessarily historical truths, but emotional truths, cultural truths, spiritual truths. The story of the nine divine sisters teaches communities to respect nature, honor feminine wisdom, value compassion, and preserve cultural heritage. Whether one interprets the sisters as literal celestial beings or symbolic guardians, their influence remains undeniable. Even today, when visitors stand upon the slopes of Khait Parvat and gaze across the Himalayan horizon, many describe a feeling that is difficult to explain, a sense of peace, a sense of presence, a sense that they are standing somewhere extraordinary. Perhaps that feeling is that the true legacy of the nine divine sisters, not the proof of their existence, but the proof of their enduring power to inspire wonder. Before books, before digital archives, before written histories became common, human civilizations relied upon storytelling. Stories were libraries, stories were classrooms, stories were bridges connecting generations. The legends of Kate Parvat survive today because of this remarkable tradition. Garhwal poses one of the richest oral storytelling cultures in India. For centuries, elders gathered families together to share stories about ancestors, heroes, sacred places, and the divine beings. Kate Parvat became one of the most cherished subjects of these narratives. Imagine a cold Himalayan evening. A family sits around a traditional hearth. Outside, mountain winds move through the forests. Inside, the grandparents recount stories passed down from their own grandparents. The stories of the Aacharis, stories of the nine divine sisters, stories of mysterious lights and celestial music. This process repeated itself countless times over countless generations. Through storytelling, the mountain remained alive in the collective memory. What makes oral traditions so important? Unlike the written records, oral traditions evolve. Each storyteller adds personal experiences, local details, and the cultural insights. This flexibility allows stories to remain relevant even as society changes. This flexibility allows stories to remain relevant. The legends of the Khait Parvat therefore serves multiple purposes. They entertain, they educate, they preserve values, they strengthen community identity. Most importantly, they connect people to their heritage. Many modern societies struggle with cultural amnesia. Rapid technological change sometimes weakens connection to the history. Oral traditions help prevent this loss. They remind communities where they came from. They preserve lessons learned by previous generations. The stories surrounding Kate Parvat often emphasize respect for the elders, respect for the nature, respect for spiritual traditions. These values help the community survive in challenging mountain environments. The mountain itself became a classroom, a place where moral lessons were encoded into memorable stories. Modern researchers increasingly recognize the value of oral traditions. Although such stories may not always provide precise historical facts, they often preserve important cultural knowledge. They reveal how communities understood their world. They show what people valued. They offer insights into social relationships, environmental awareness, and the spiritual beliefs. Kate Parvat's legends are therefore more than the myths. They are cultural archives, living records of Garhwali identity. Every generation faces a choice to preserve its stories or to allow them to disappear. The continued popularity of Kate Parvat demonstrates the power of preservation. People still tell the stories. Children still listen, pilgrims still visit, communities still remember. As long as these traditions continue, the mountain's spirit remains alive, not merely as a physical location, but as a symbol of continuity between past, present, and the future. For many communities surrounding the Kate Parvat, faith is not limited to the stories. It is expressed through rituals, festivals, pilgrimages, songs, and collective celebrations. These traditions transform belief into lived experience. Throughout history, sacred places have brought people together. Kate Parvat is no exception. Seasonal pilgrimages to locations associated with the mountain continues to play an important role in the local culture. Families travel considerable distances to participate. Some comes seeking blessings, some come expressing gratitude, others come to maintain traditions established by their ancestors. Pilgrimage itself carries profound symbolism. The journey is often viewed as important as the destination. Climbing mountain paths requires patience, effort, and determination. The physical challenge mirrors an inner spiritual journey. Each step becomes an act of devotion. Upon reaching sacred sites, visitors may offer prayers, flowers, or traditional offerings. These acts symbolizes humility and the gratitude. They remind participants that life depends upon the forces larger than individual achievement. Festivals associated with the mountain creates opportunities for community celebration. Music fills the air. Traditional Garhwali songs preserve historical memories. Dance performances strengthen the cultural identity. Children learn customs from older generations. In many ways, festivals function as living museums. Unlike static exhibits, they actively involve participants. Everyone becomes part of the tradition. One of the most beautiful aspects of these celebrations is their emphasis on community. Modern society often encourages individual achievement. Traditional festivals emphasize collective well-being. People gather not merely for the personal benefit but to strengthen the social bonds. These events foster cooperation, trust, and the mutual support. Researchers studying traditional cultures frequently observe this pattern. Shared rituals strengthen social cohesion. Communities that celebrate together often demonstrate greater resilience during difficult times. Khait Parvat's rituals therefore serve both spiritual and practical functions. They nurture the faith, they preserve culture, they reinforce relationships. The ceremonies also express gratitude towards the nature. Many traditional Himalayan communities recognize their dependence upon the forests, the rivers, and the mountains. Rituals acknowledge this relationship. They remind participants that preserved prosperity depends on environmental balance. This message remains deeply relevant today. Environmental challenges affect the communities worldwide. Traditional practices encouraging respect for the nature may offer valuable lessons for the modern societies. Whether one views the rituals through a religious lens or a cultural lens, their significance is undeniable. They connect people to the place, they connect generations to one another, and they ensure that the legacy of Khait Parvat continues to inspire the future generations. Even if no legends existed, Khait Parvat would still be extraordinary. Its natural beauty alone is enough to inspire awe. The mountain rises within one of the most spectacular landscapes on the earth, the Himalayas. Often called the roof of the world, the Himalayas represent both immense geological power and profound natural beauty. Khait Parvat forms part of this magnificent environment. Dense forests cover its lower slopes. Towering trees creates a sense of timelessness. Birds song echoes through the valleys. Streams carve pathways through ancient rocks. Higher elevations reveal alpine meadows bursting with seasonal flowers. During certain months, these meadows transform into colorful carpets stretching across the landscape. Above them rise rugged ridges and distant snow-covered peaks. The scenery changes dramatically throughout the year. Spring brings renewal, summer reveals lush greenery, autumn paints forests with the warm colors, winter blankets the region in the snow. Each season creates a different personality for the mountain. This ever-changing environment contributes significantly to the legends surrounding the Khait Parvat. Nature often appears mysterious. Morning mist can obscure familiar landmarks. Sunlight creates unexpected shadows. Cloud formations transform rapidly. Unusual sounds travel across the valleys. To earlier generations, such phenomena naturally inspired spiritual interpretations. Even modern visitors frequently describe feeling a sense of wonder. Scientists explain this reaction partly through the psychology. Humans evolved in the natural environments. Research suggests that exposure to the beautiful landscapes reduces the stress, improves the mood, and enhances the feelings of connection. The Himalayas amplify these effects. Their scale exceeds ordinary experiences. Standing before towering mountains reminds people of both their smallness and their connection to something larger. This emotional response may help explain why sacred traditions emerge around remarkable landscapes. The environment itself inspires reverence. Khait Parvat is also important from an ecological perspective. The surrounding forests support biodiversity. Wildlife depends upon healthy ecosystems. Water sources originating in the mountain regions sustain downstream communities. Protecting such environments benefits both nature and humanity. The legends associated with the mountain may have contributed to the conservation. Sacred places are often treated with the greater respect. Communities may avoid harmful activities in the areas considered spiritually significant. In this way, cultural beliefs can indirectly support environmental protection. To the visitors from around the world coming, seeking beauty, peace, and the inspiration, many arrive curious about the legends, yet they often leave equally impressed by the landscape itself, because ultimately the Khait Parvat's greatest mystery may not be supernatural. It may be the extraordinary ability of the nature to transform human perspective, to inspire humility, to awaken gratitude, to remind us that the beauty still exists beyond the distractions of modern life. And perhaps that is why the mountain of Anchals continues to captivate hearts and the minds across generations. Every sacred mountain in the world poses stories about that the blur of the line between reality and the mystery. Khait Parvat is no exception. In fact, many people consider these mysterious accounts to be among the most fascinating aspects of the mountain's reputation. For generations, villagers, pilgrims, shepherds, and travelers have described unusual experiences connected to the Khait Parvat. Some report hearing well music when no musicians are being present. Others describe seeing lights moving across remote mountain slopes during the night. A few speak of strange feelings of peace or an unseen presence while walking through certain areas. Such accounts are difficult to verify scientifically, yet they persist. Why? Because they are shared repeatedly across generations. One common story involves celestial music. Villagers describe hearing distant melodies carried by the mountain winds. The sounds are often described as beautiful, gentle, and unlike ordinary music. According to the local belief, these melodies are associated with Aacharis, the divine guardians believed to reside on the mountain. Another frequently told story concerns mysterious light. Some individuals claim to have observed glowing forms moving through the forests or across the ridge lines. Others report unusual flashes appearing during certain seasons. These accounts naturally fuel curiosity. What causes them? Are they supernatural, natural, psychological? The answer remains uncertain. Human beings have always been fascinated by unexplained phenomena. Ancient cultures saw the signs of divine activity in the unusual events. Modern societies often seek scientific explanations, yet the emotional impact of mystery remains remarkably similar. When people encounter something they cannot immediately explain, they begin asking the questions. Questions stimulate imagination. Imagination generates stories. The stories become the traditions, and the traditions become part of the cultural identity. Kate Parvat demonstrates this process beautifully. Whether the reported experiences have supernatural origins or not, they contribute significantly to the mountain's cultural significance. Many visitors arrive specifically because of these legends. Some hope to witness something extraordinary. Others simply visit to experience the atmosphere for themselves. Interestingly, even skeptical visitors sometimes describe powerful emotional experiences, not necessarily supernatural events, but feelings of tranquility, wonder, connection, reflection. The Himalayan environment itself may contribute to these reactions. Silence is increasingly rare in the modern life. Remote mountains offer opportunities for introspection. Without constant distractions, people often become more aware of their thoughts and emotions. This heightened awareness can make ordinary experiences feel extraordinary, yet, regardless of interpretation, the stories continue. Parents tell children, elders tell visitors, Pilgrims share experiences with fellow travelers. Each retelling strengthens the mountain's identity as a place of mystery. Perhaps the greatest lesson is mystery itself has value, not because it provides answers, but because it encourages curiosity. Curiosity drives exploration. Exploration leads to learning, and learning expands our understanding of both the world and ourselves. Khait Parvat reminds us that even in the age of satellites, smartphones, and scientific advancement, some places still inspire the wonder, and wonder remains one of humanity's most valuable experiences. Whenever stories of mysterious light, celestial music, or divine beings emerge, science naturally asks an important question. What alternative explanations might exist? This question is not intended to dismiss tradition, rather, it reflects humanity's desire to understand how the world works. Scientific inquiry and cultural heritage often approach mysteries from different directions. One seeks mechanisms, the other seeks meaning. Both perspectives can offer valuable insights. Consider the reports of mysterious sounds. Mountain environments possess unique acoustic properties. Sound waves can travel long distances. Wind patterns may carry noises from unexpected sources. Echoes can distort familiar sounds and make them appear mysterious. A distant bell, flowing water, animal calls, or human activity can sometimes create unusual auditory experiences. Similarly, reports of unexplained flights may have natural explanations. Atmospheric conditions can produce optical effects. Moonlight reflecting from clouds or snow can create unusual visual phenomena. Temperature differences in the atmosphere sometimes bend light in unexpected ways. Natural phosphorescence and other environmental factors may also contribute. Psychology provides another perspective. Human perception is not a perfect recording device, it is an interpretive system. Expectations influences experiences. When individuals visit places associated with the legends, they may become more attentive to unusual sights and the sounds. This doesn't mean experiences are imaginary. It simply means interpretation plays an important role. Researchers studying sacred sites around the world frequently observe this pattern. People often report the powerful experiences in the locations they consider spiritually significant. These experiences can be deeply meaningful regardless of their causes. Importantly, science doesn't claim to have answered every question. Many mysteries remain unresolved. Scientists continue investigating consciousness, perception, and the relationship between informant and the human experience. The unknown still exists. What science doesn't provide is a framework for investigation. It encourages observation, testing, questioning, evidence-based reasoning. These principles have helped humanity achieve extraordinary progress. Yet there is another important consideration. Not all questions are scientific questions. For example, why does a particular story inspire the people? Why does a community value a sacred place? Why do legends survive for centuries? These questions involve culture, psychology, history, and the meaning. Science can contribute to insights, but it may not provide complete answers. Kate Parvat therefore offers an opportunity to appreciate multiple perspectives. A scientist may study environmental phenomena. A historian may examine cultural development. A spiritual practitioner may focus on personal experiences. A local villager may emphasize the tradition. Each perspective reveals different aspects of the mountain's significance. Rather than viewing science and tradition as enemies, perhaps we should view them as complementary ways of understanding the reality. One explores how the things happen, the other explores why they matter. Together they create a richer understanding of Khait Parvat and the enduring fascination it inspires. A few topics generated as much discussion as the question: are the legends of Khait Parvat real? For some people, the answer is simple. They believe the stories literally. For others, the answer is equally straightforward. They regard the legends as folklore. Between these positions lies a broad spectrum of perspectives. This debate is not unique to Khait Parvat. Similar discussions occur around the sacred sites throughout the world. Mountains, temples, ancient ruins, pilgrimage destinations, everywhere people ask similar questions. Did these events truly happen? Were these beings real? Can these experiences be verified? Skeptics often emphasize the importance of evidences. They argue that extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Without physical evidence, they remain unconvinced. This position reflects an important principle of critical thinking. Questioning claims helps prevent misinformation. It encourages careful analysis. Believers, however, often respond differently. They argue that personal experiences cannot always be measured scientifically. Faith, they suggest, involves dimensions of human experience beyond empirical verification. For many individuals, the absence of scientific proof does not diminish spiritual significance. This disagreement sometimes creates tension, yet it did not. The question may not be whether one side is entirely correct and the other entirely mistaken. Instead, the debate reveals different ways of understanding the truth. Scientific truth focuses on measurable evidences. Cultural truth focuses on the shared meaning. Historical truth focuses on documented events. Spiritual truth focuses on personal experiences. These forms of truth do not always overlap perfectly. For example, a legend may not be historically verifiable while still conveying profound cultural wisdom. Many myths throughout the history function in this way. Their value lies not in the factual accuracy but in the symbolic meaning. The legends of Kate Parvat teaches respect for the nature. They encourage humility. They strengthen community identity. They preserve heritage. These contributions remain meaningful regardless of one's beliefs about supernatural elements. Another important point concerns cultural respect. Modern societies sometimes dismiss traditional beliefs too quickly, yet cultural traditions often contain valuable insights. They represent centuries of accumulated experiences. Understanding them requires curiosity rather than judgment. The controversy surrounding Kate Parvat therefore offers a valuable lesson. Disagreement does not necessarily require hostility. People can interpret the same stories differently while still appreciating their significance. Ultimately, the mountain continues to inspire both believers and skeptics. Both groups visit, both ask questions, both seek understanding, and perhaps that shared curiosity is more important than reaching complete agreement. Whenever a place becomes famous for the legends and spiritual traditions, criticism inevitably follows. Khait Parvat is no an exception. Critics often raise several questions. Where is the evidence? Why should modern people believe ancient stories? Are these legends simply superstitions? These questions deserve thoughtful responses. The first response is that cultural value does not depend entirely upon the scientific verification. Consider literature, poetry, music, art. Their significance does not require laboratory proof. They matter because of the emotions, ideas, and connections they create. Folklore functions similarly. Legends preserve cultural identity. They transmit values. They strengthen community bonds. Even if one interprets the story symbolically, their cultural importance remains substantial. A second response concerns historical perspective. Throughout history, many traditions once dismissed as myths later contain elements of truth. Ancient stories sometimes preserve memories of real events, locations, or environmental changes. Researchers frequently study folklore because it can provide valuable historical clues. This doesn't mean every legend is literally accurate. It simply means dismissing them entirely may be unwise. A third response involves personal experiences. Many pilgrims and visitors describe meaningful encounters at the Khait Parvat, not necessarily supernatural events, but experiences of peace, reflection, healing, inspiration. Such experiences are subjective, they cannot be measured easily, yet they remain real to the individuals who experience them. Human life includes many realities that resist qualification, love, beauty, meaning, purpose. Spiritual experiences often belongs to this category. Another criticism concerns modern relevance. Why should contemporary audiences care about ancient mountain legends? The answer is simple because underlying lessons remain timeless. Respect nature, preserve culture, value community, practice humility, remain open to the wonder. These principles are as relevant today as they were the centuries ago. In fact, they may be even more important in a rapidly changing world. Modern societies face environmental challenges, social fragmentation, and cultural loss. Traditional wisdom can sometimes offer valuable guidance. Finally, it is important to emphasize the balance. Respecting cultural traditions does not require abandoning the critical thinking. Likewise, scientific reasoning does not require rejecting cultural heritage. Both approaches contribute to human understanding. Kate Parvat invites us to embrace this balance, to remain curious, to ask questions, to appreciate evidence, and to respect the traditions that have shaped communities for generations. The goal is not to prove every legend. The goal is to understand why they matter because when we understand that, we gain insight not only into the Kate Parvat but into the enduring human search for meaning itself. As we have journeyed through the legends, traditions, mysteries, and landscapes of Kate Parvat, an important question emerges. What can modern people learn from an ancient mountain? After all, most of us do not live in the remote Himalayan villages. Most of us are surrounded by technology, deadlines, social media, and the constant distractions. Yet, despite these differences, the lessons embedded within the stories of Kate Parvat remain remarkably relevant. Sorry. The first lesson is humility. Mountains naturally inspire humility because they remind us how small we are. Standing before a Himalayan peak, human achievements suddenly appear less permanent and less significant. The mountain existed before us, it will likely remain long after us. This perspective is powerful. Many of the world's problems emerge from excessive pride. Individuals, organizations, and even nations sometimes behave as though they control everything. Kate Parvat teaches a different lesson. It reminds us that there are forces larger than ourselves, nature, time, history, life itself. Humility does not mean weakness, it means recognizing reality accurately. The second lesson is the respect for nature. The legends of the Aacharis and the nine divine sisters repeatedly emphasize harmony between people and the environment. Ancient communities understood something modern societies occasionally forget. Human beings are not separate from the nature. We are part of it. The forests provide oxygen, the rivers provide water, the mountains influence climate and ecosystems. When we damage nature, we ultimately damage ourselves. Kate Parvat's stories encourage stewardship rather than exploitation. The third lesson is the value of cultural heritage. Every generation inherits the stories from the past. The question is whether those stories will survive into the future. Modernization brings many benefits, but it can also create cultural loss. Languages disappear, traditions fade, ancient knowledge is forgotten. The people who preserved Khait Parvat's legends understood that the culture is not a luxury, it is a part of identity. Without memory, communities loses the direction. Without heritage, societies become disconnected from their roots. The fourth lesson is openness to the wonder. Modern education often emphasizes certainty, yet some of humanity's greatest discoveries began with the curiosity. The stories of Kate Parvat remind us that the wonder remains valuable. Not everything needs an immediate explanation. Mystery can inspire exploration. Questions can stimulate learning. The willingness to remain curious may be one of humanity's greatest strengths. Finally, Kate Parvat teaches the gratitude. The mountains traditions encourage appreciation for the life, nature, community, and a spiritual connection. Gratitude changes perspective. Instead of focusing solely on what is missing, gratitude highlights what already exists. Instead of scarcity, it encourages the abundance. Instead of complaint, it encourages appreciation. In a world often dominated by negativity, this lesson may be more important than ever. Whether one believes the legends literally or symbolically, the values they promote remain timeless. Humility, respect, preservation, curiosity, gratitude. These are not merely ancient ideals, they are principles capable of improving the modern life. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. The true power of a legend lies not in proving supernatural claims. Its power lies in helping people become wiser, kinder, and more connected to the world around them. Every story that survives across centuries owes its existence to the people who choose to remember. Kate Parvat's legends did not preserve themselves, they survived because countless individuals carried them forward. This slide is dedicated to those guardians of the heritage. Imagine the thousands of unnamed storytellers who helped preserve these traditions, grandparents sharing stories beside evening fires, village elders teaching younger generations, pilgrims recounting experiences from the sacred journeys, families passing cultural knowledge from the parents to the child. Most of these individuals never wrote books, most never appeared in the documentaries, most never received recognition. Yet without them, the legends of Kate Parvat might have disappeared long ago. Their contribution deserves gratitude. The same appreciation extends to the local communities. Throughout history, these communities have maintained rituals, festivals, songs, and the traditions associated with the mountain. Such efforts require commitment. Cultural preservation does not happen automatically. It requires participation. People must choose to remember, they must choose to teach, they must choose to care. Modern audiences also owe a gratitude to historians, researchers, anthropologists, photographers, filmmakers, and the writers who document cultural traditions. Their work helps ensure that local heritage reaches broader audiences. Documentation creates opportunities for understanding and appreciation. Another group deserving recognition is the natural environment itself, the forests, the rivers, the wildlife, the mountains. Without the extraordinary landscape of the Garhwal Himalayas, these stories would not exist. Nature inspired the legends, nature shaped the culture, nature continues to attract the visitors seeking beauty and inspiration. Gratitude towards nature encourages responsibility. When people appreciate something, they are more likely to protect it. This principle applies to both culture and the environment. We protect what we value, we preserve what we appreciate. Kate Parvat therefore teaches an important lesson about the gratitude. Gratitude is not passive, it is active. It motivates preservation. It inspires stewardship. It strengthens relationships. Modern life often moves quickly. People focus on the future goals and immediate challenges. Yet gratitude invites us to pause, to recognize contributions that often go unnoticed, to appreciate those who came before us, to acknowledge the gifts we have inherited. The stories of Khait Parvat are among those gifts, whether viewed as folklore, spirituality, history, or the cultural heritage. They represent centuries of human creativity and the wisdom. They remind us that every generation inherits responsibilities, not only to achieve the success, but also to preserve what is valuable. As we reflect on the mountain's legacy, let us remember the countless individuals whose efforts made this journey possible. Their names may be forgotten, their contributions are not, and for that we offer the gratitude. The future of Kate Parvat depends upon choices being made today. Interest in the mountain continues to grow. More travelers are discovering its legends. More researchers are studying its cultural significance. More content creators are introducing into global audiences. This increased attention creates opportunities, but it also creates responsibilities. One of the greatest opportunities involves responsible tourism. Tourism can provide economic benefits to the local communities. Visitors support local businesses. Guides gain employment. Cultural traditions receive greater visibility. Infrastructure improvements may enhance the quality of life. However, unmanaged tourism can also create the problems. Environmental damage, waste accumulation, cultural commercialization, loss of authenticity. The challenge is finding balance. How can communities welcome visitors while protecting the qualities that make Kate Parvat special? The answer lies in sustainable development. Visitors should be encouraged to respect the local traditions. Environmental protection should remain a priority. Economic benefits should support local residents rather than external interests alone. Cultural preservation must remain central. Another important issue involves the documentation. Many traditional stories still exist primarily in the oral form. Recording these narratives can help preserve them for future generations. Digital technology offers powerful tools for the cultural conservation. Videos, audio recordings, photographs, digital archives, educational programs. These resources can ensure that knowledge survives even as the society changes. Education also plays a crucial role. Younger generations should have opportunities to learn about local heritage. When people understand the significance of cultural traditions, they are more likely to value and protect them. Environmental conservation represents another essential priority. The Himalayan ecosystem faces challenges including climate change, habitat loss, and increasing human pressure. Protecting the natural environment benefits from both biodiversity and the cultural heritage. The legends of Khait Parvat are deeply connected to the landscape. The environment suffers, part of the mountain's identity is lost. Fortunately, there are reasons for optimism. Around the world, many communities are successfully combining conservation, cultural preservation, and sustainable tourism. Khait Parvat can become a model for this approach, a place where heritage and progress coexist, a place where economic development supports environmental protection, a place where ancient traditions remain relevant in the modern society. The future remains unwritten. Each visitor influences it, each community decision influences it, each act of preservation influences it. The choices made today will determine whether future generations experience Kate Parvat as a living cultural treasure or merely as a forgotten legend. The responsibility belongs to all of us. and the opportunity is extraordinary. As our journey comes to an end, let us return to the image that began this documentary. A mountain rising above the Garhwal Himalayas, a landscape shaped by the time, nature, and human imagination, a place known as the Land of Fairies, the mountain of angels. Throughout this video, we have explored many dimensions of Khait Parvat. We have examined geography, we have explored folklore, we have listened to the stories of the Aacharis, we have discovered the legend of the nine divine sisters. We have considered scientific explanations. We have discussed controversies. We have reflected upon the cultural preservation. Yet perhaps the most important discovery lies beyond any individual story. The Kate Parvat reveals something fundamental about the humanity itself. Human beings are the storytellers. Across every culture and every era, people have sought meaning in the landscapes around them. Mountains become symbols, rivers become legends, forests become sacred. These stories help transform geography into an identity. They help transform places into sources of inspiration. Whether the celestial beings of Kate Parvat exist exactly as described is ultimately a question each person must answer individually. But there is another truth that requires no debate. The mountain has inspired the generations, the stories have shaped communities, the traditions have preserved values, the legends have encouraged respect for the nature. Those impacts are real, undeniable real. The Mountain of Angels therefore represents more than the folklore. It represents humanity's relationship with the wonder. Wonder is often underestimated, yet it plays a crucial role in the human progress. Wonder inspires curiosity. Curiosity drives exploration. Exploration produces discovery. Many scientific breakthroughs began with the individuals asking questions that others ignored. In this sense, the wonder and the knowledge are not the opposites, they are partners. Kate Parvat reminds us that the mystery still has a place in the modern life, not because mystery replaces the knowledge, but because the mystery motivates the search for knowledge. The mountain also reminds us of the importance of balance, balance between tradition and the progress, balance between science and spirituality, balance between development and conservation, balance between individual achievement and community responsibility. Modern society often emphasizes the speed. Kate Parvat encourages the reflection. Modern society often emphasizes control. Khait Parvat encourages humility. Modern society often emphasizes consumption. Khait Parvat encourages appreciation. These lessons are valuable regardless of one's beliefs. As we conclude, imagine standing once more upon the slopes of the mountain. The air is cool, the forests are silent, the distant peaks glow beneath the setting sun. The stories remain, the legends endure, the mystery continues. Perhaps somewhere beyond the next reach, the nine divine sisters still watch over the valleys. Perhaps the Aacharis still protect the forest. Or perhaps these legends survive because they express timeless human hopes. Either way, the result is the same. The mountain continues to inspire, and inspiration is one of the most powerful forces in the world. May the story of Kate Parvat encourages us to preserve cultural heritage. May it remind us to respect nature. May it inspire gratitude for the generations who came before us. And may it encourage us to remain curious about the many mysteries that still surround us. Because in the end, the greatest mystery is not whether angels live upon a mountain. The greatest mystery is humanity's endless capacity to seek meaning, beauty, and connection. That journey never ends, and perhaps that is why the Kate Parvat continues to call to those willing to listen. Thank you for joining this journey into the Mountain of Angels. If you enjoyed this video, explore more mysteries, history, culture, and inspiring stories on Story Atlas Nitish.